Let's pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, we implore you to take the stage. We are nothing but your vessels. When you are done with us, oh Father, give the glory. For we love to see your name glorified. Father, give us the understanding, the illumination to reveal your kingdom secrets unto us. As we study your word this morning, give us your understanding according to your will. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I do believe that today we will conclude. Yeah. So this, like Sister Beth said, this will be rounding up. So we expect a lot of questions and answers. Let's put our heads together. I'm just a facilitator. We are all learning from each other. Last week, Brother Mecca asked a question which I should have been really prepared for the question. But the question was, he was asking whether, or he asked rather, praise and worship, which is greater, more important. So we went into that here last week. But before I continue, as to answer that question again, which the pastor has already answered, they are both important. Then I think I said that one, we can go seamlessly from one into the other, and you can flow through and back. So let's open Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. Colossians. Anybody get it? Colossians 3:17. It says, everything you do or say should be done to obey Jesus, your Lord. And in all you do, give thanks to God, the Father, through Jesus Christ. So in worshiping, everything we do is a form of worship. Everything we do. We are created to worship God. The activity of glorifying God in His presence with our voices and hearts, I might as well include our hands and legs. This is worshiping. Worshiping is the ultimate direct expression of the purpose of our being. The ultimate direct expression of the purpose of our being. To worship Him, you must know Him. The more you know Him, the more you worship Him. So last week, I should have remembered what I said at the beginning of this series. How do we worship God? We worship God through songs and praise. So when we're praising God, we are worshiping Him. When we're singing, we are worshiping Him. We worship God through prayers. When we are praying to God, we are worshiping Him. We worship God through preaching and teaching. When our pastor stands here to teach us and to preach to us, he is worshiping God because he is doing the will of God. He is feeding the sheep. He is obeying the command. When we offer our tithes and offerings, we are worshiping God. When we offer any kind of service in the church, in the house of God, or to our fellow human being, we are also worshiping God. So in everything we do to God, for God, we are created to worship Him. So whether we're in the church or at home, at our job, we should do it in mind, bearing in mind that their service is to worship God. There should not be any murmuring, even when you're working at your job, not even in the house of God, not even in your own home. And we are told also that a true worshiper is one that worships in spirit, the one that worships in truth. And the truth is the words of truth according to the gospel of Jesus Christ. So worshiping includes everything that we do. Praising God, we are worshiping Him. And we're singing songs, we're worshiping Him. And we're dancing, we're worshiping Him. If we are dancing unto the Lord. David did. He worshiped God. Whatever we do to honor God, to ascribe everything that we are or we have, or that is unto Him and nobody else, then we are worshiping Him. Is there any question? Let's put our heads together, sir. I believe today we are bringing this to an end. Let's make it a little bit more lively like it last week. Dr. John, what do you have to say? Nothing? Oh, yeah, must be good. Nobody has a question. Pastor Freeman, what do you have to say?
The thing is that was born here for to serve Him, to praise Him, to glorify Him. All He doing for us, what we get to give Him? We don't have nothing but to glorify Him. So the thing is that.
Amen.
Also, based on the portion that I've read, it gives me a new understanding that in everything that we do, it's not only when we come to church.
Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Enjoy
I understand.
On the street.
Yeah, it's not only when we come to church that we are worshiping God. So we worship God even at home. We worship God at our place of work, even though we are working under somebody. So whatever we do in a secular work, we are still worshiping God.
But let's look at the mode of worship, that mode of worship. I think we are missing one point there. Verse 16 before 17. That collection that you read.
Okay, verse 16.
Verse 16 says, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your heart to the Lord."
That really sums up. It will be difficult to worship God in word and in deed if that 16 does not happen to us. If that verse 16 does not happen. Because the cares of this world could be overwhelming sometimes. The battles that we fight could be very fierce. A time might come when you think maybe God has forsaken you. Even when the enemy come to you and begin to rub it in, just to remind you what you are going through. It's going to be very difficult to worship God in words and in deed. If, number one, the word of God does not dwell in us richly, in all wisdom, if we are not able to teach and admonish one another, in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your heart. You mean that even while you are sitting down, you can be singing to God without your lips opening.
Yes.
You can be meditating on the word of God without anybody knowing. And it is only through this kind of ways that when the enemies come, you'll be able to keep them at bay. When your heart is filled with the joy of the Lord, when your heart is singing praises and worshiping God in the midst of difficulties. Now on the line, in the midst of difficulties, when it seems that there will be no tomorrow, when it appears all hope is lost, when it's like God is too far away from you, and yet you could sing with grace in psalms and spiritual songs unto God. You can even use your own situation to admonish somebody. You know what it means for you to go through so much in life, and yet you find yourself in a position where you have to advise somebody else. Somebody that might perhaps going through less than you want to compare. He's going through less than what you're going through. And yet you could sum up courage and give advice to somebody else and encourage somebody else. That is the only time that it will be easy for us to worship God in word and in deed.
A true worshiper, just like you have explained to us, should be able to worship God when he or she is at the lowest point, when they are in their valley, in our valley, we should be able to praise and worship him. When we are on our mountain, we should also be able to praise and worship him. Because he's the same God. He's the same God that will lift us up from that valley onto the mountain. When we are at the mountain, we should always continue to praise him and worship him, because he's the one that placed us there. Just like the pastor said most of the time, when we are at the mountain, we seem to forget who brought us up there. And then when we are in the valley, we seem to think that he has forgotten us. So it is the need to all the time, no matter the situation in our life, to give him all his glory.
And if you look at that verse, it says, admonishing one another. There's no better place for that than the church of God. Especially, it says one another, which means us that are believers. This is the right place where the children of God are supposed to come, bring your burden. We share your burden. We share our burdens and lift our burdens up to God. But that would not happen if you come to the house of God with carried over, anger and bitterness and hatred and unforgiveness. You come to the house of God, you already make up your mind how you want to behave that day, towards that sister, towards that brother. You remember what he or she did to you last week. Now, how is it, possible to come to the house of God and admonish one another? It's not going to work. It can't work. when our hearts are not free, towards one another, it will be difficult to do that. And number two, when you do not even look at the house of God as a place you should go to receive instructions, to be lifted up. Most people prefer to go to, social clubs, social gatherings, drink and smoke, do all sorts of things, because they believe that those are the people that will listen to them. They believe that's the best way to let go of their troubles. But that's a very wrong thing to do, because you might be high, it's just like drugs. You could be high in a social environment, interaction. The moment that social environment is over, you are down again. You go back, if not worse down where you started. That's just the fact of life. The only place where you go with a free mind and be admonished, if you can take those admonishments. And like the verse said, with spiritual songs and hymns, letting the word of God dwell in us. The only place where that can happen. And it will remain constant. In fact, your relationship will begin to grow higher. Is the house of God. And until we get to that understanding, it will be difficult to worship God in words and in deed, and even outside the church. Like you guys have been adding, Patricia added, you say the same thing. It's not just when we come to church and worship God. If only we realize that and know that while you are outside the church, in your homes, whatever you do, it has to be to worship God. And if what you are doing does not glorify God, whatever you do, wherever you go, the company that you keep does not bring about the worship of God, then you are not worshiping God. It's always easier to be holy inside the church. But the moment that door swings close and we're out, we are our normal self. The friends we keep, the company we keep. You are supposed to be a child of God, but most of your friends are what? Unbelievers. What do? Drinking alcohol, smoking, womanizing, doing all sorts of things. And when you finish in their midst, on Sunday, you come to church. Tell me how you worship God. It's difficult. It's not going to happen.
Praise the Lord.
Amen.
I have a question. If like we are in the house of God, but we are the best. We read the Bible, we say we act holy, we act so righteous. But at the place of work or like with other gatherings, your life does not encourage someone to come to church, or it discourages someone from coming to church. How will you classify that? But in the church, you are the best. But outside,
You already answered that question. You said we act. Acting is faith.
no, what I'm saying, how do you call such a person?
An hypocrite.
Pastor can help us with that.
No, so you need to explain what she means by the place of work. When it comes to a place of work, what does that person do at the place of work? Because if you don't break that down, it will be difficult for somebody to answer. There could be many actions at a place of work. Now you have to realize something. The place of work, there are rules, there are policies that you have to follow. Like in my place of work where I run my office, I gave you what you need to do. I gave you instructions. I gave you policies. When you came to work for me in my place of work, the expectations are there. You know what to expect. And what I do at my place of work is not going to bring you away from God. If it says, okay, you must be at work by 8, you must stay till 10, you must do this kind of work this way, you must go like my client, like in one of my office, in one of my business, now I'm using myself, okay, so that we can have a better understanding. In one of my businesses, if I hire you, you have to go see the client and make that a policy. You don't stay at home and write what is supposed to be written. You need to go, and because that's what you are paid sufficiently for that. You are paid to do that. If I pay you sufficiently that you must go see the client and you don't, you think that you have done the job that you're supposed to do? No, you have failed. And when I rise up, I can react the way I feel that I deem fit, because you are getting paid for not doing what you're supposed to do. Now, other places of work, they have rules. But if I come to a place of work, I break the rules, and I'm supposed to be a child of God. Now, what does that make me? It means that I'm not showing what I am learning. While at work, at home, when you're outside, you must obey the rule. You must abide by the policy. A child of God needs to show by example what you're supposed to do, what you want others to do. You need to show by example. That is what makes you a child of God. You see, there's always assumption that the other person is not doing well. I am doing well. When it comes to that kind of situation, you need to first look inward, look into your own self first. Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Is it the right way? That's what the Bible says. First, take the, what do you call it? The specks from your eyes before you can see the whatever in the eyes of others. So you see, if I go to work, I don't abide by policies, and I expect that I should be treated differently. What does that make me? I am not showing good example as a child of God. So whether you are at work, or you are at home, or you are in the church, there are rules, there are policy. In fact, even God said that you have to obey the law of the land. If the king sets a law, you need to obey. That's what makes you a child of God. You can't say I'm a child of God, I don't obey the king. I don't obey that law. But you are a citizen of that country. So you have to. All these things boil to the fact that first look inward before you'll be able to look at the perks in the eyes of others. Now, when it comes to this issue of worshiping God, we need to be very careful. Because, like we said before, worshiping God is not just in the church. What do we do when we get outside? Going outside, mixing with the crowd that will even discourage you from the work of God. Relating with them, but you don't even want to relate with the people of God. What does that make you? We talk about hypocrite. They're the same hypocrite. The Bible talks about people that worship God in the day and worship Baal at night. In fact, that expression relates to many of us. We worship God in the day and worship Baal at night. Amen.
A true worship, Jesus asked his disciple, who does the world say I am? They couldn't come up with the answer. Then Jesus asked, who do you say I am? And if you turn that around, we are not talking about, let's put ourselves in there. Who does your neighbor think you are? Because when you are able, your character is able to convince your neighbor that you're a Christian. That is the overwhelming worship you do to God. But if your neighbor, you can tell him, it's very easy for Christians supposed to pray. If you're a Christian, Christians supposed to sing if you're a Christian. But that is beside the point. The point is, this era we are on evangelization. What people think about you, that is what they think God is. So we should, as a Christian, we put ourselves in the equation. Who does my neighbor think? And if your neighbor, if you're able to convince your neighbor that you're a Christian, that is overwhelming worship. God is glorified.
Amen.
Amen.
Did that answer your question, man? Okay. Any other question? Any other contributions? Now let's move to a different thing altogether. The same worship. At what time does worship becomes idolatry? Can anybody answer that question?
Worshiping God, is not idolatry, but
At what
Wait,
point
at
can
what-
it become
okay,
idolatry?
if you worship something more than worshiping God, that becomes an idolatry to you and not God. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So you focus on something more
it
than
becomes idolatry when, let's say, an unbeliever, then if you have issue with him or her, then you through your Bible knowledge, you worship to him without any reasonable fact to support, or you don't really act according to what is at issue. You try to prove to him, yeah, I am a Christian, I'm worshiping God. That is idolatry. Because there is no humility in there. Whatever you do, if there is no humility, if there is no care and concern, I don't think God really need much of it. The problem we have as Christians is that sometimes we are very uncaring while we know all the verses in the Bible. Our job is supposed to care. That's what Jesus said. He saw the disciples, they sent them home. They don't have enough food. But Jesus saw their situation. They cannot just go like that. He knew where they have to go. Then he did something about it. But if you're going through just the word of God and the Bible verses, that is not only hypocritical, but it's idolatry.
Amen.
Can I say something? Okay, something just came into my mind. Then the Bible says we shouldn't make any graven image in heaven or in earth to worship. So just like there are some people that have this statue of Mary or some statues and they go there, bow down and start, talking. They are not worshiping God in that sense. That is an idolatry they are doing. I don't know if it's in line with what you're asking.
You making a point?
Yeah.
Any other person? When the creation becomes more important than the creator, then idolatry is born.
Repeat that again.
When the creation becomes more important than the creator, when the process becomes the purpose, then idolatry is born.
Give example. How can the creation become more important than the creator?
God created me. God created everything in this world for man. But when we put a whole lot more emphasis, God gave you a husband. God gave you a wife. When you start worshiping your wife, your idol, or your earthly possession, or your children, then they have become an idol unto you.
But how do you know that you are worshiping your wife or your husband or your children?
You know that. Yeah.
I said when your wife say you are not going to that Bible study tonight, and you just say that ain't no problem, let's go. That's the fun of worship.
Okay.
Don't stand your ground.
That's a generalization.
When you lay much importance to something, be anything else,
Money too.
money, everything we have in this world comes from God.
And you said that is still a very thin line. Yeah, but my question is, how do you know that you're worshiping your wife, your husband, your children, your money more than God. It's a very thin line.
You know, yeah, it's very, very thin line, but you know that when you have started as a person, have started disobeying the will of the Father and putting the will of your spouse ahead of the will of the Father.
Let me ask. Let me give an example. I have a job. My income is not enough to meet most of my bills. I take a second job, and that prevents me from coming for Bible study or coming for night vigil. Or sometimes it prevents me from coming to church. Am I worshiping that job more than God?
Yes.
Why?
Who said yes?
Is it this?
Okay, go ahead, sir.
In my view, I think in that case, you are putting your need, whatever that need is, ahead of God, and it also has to do with your level of faith. Like you said the other day when we were talking about, I think faith and what's it, reality
Reason.
and reason. So sometimes our situations and our conditions would pressure people to do things that would cause it to be ahead of God, like you said. So I believe in that case, yes.
First of all, I want us to understand what worship is. I think to me,
Well, you came late.
I understand I came
Yeah,
late,
because
but
we
still
already
I'm
talked
here.
about worship.
I came here, I'm still here. So I came late, I'm sorry. I have reasons as to why I was late.
No,
But
why I'm
that's not
saying that
that's
is
beside
that
the point.
we talked about worship before you came. We explained what worship is.
Okay, I'm asking a question in reference to how we are discussing this right now. Is it okay for me to ask a question?
Ask the question, no, because what you are trying to do, you are trying to take us back.
I'm not trying to take you all back.
What do you
Give me a
want?
reason.
Still be back and they can come and still.
Yeah, because of our time.
Okay, sorry then. Go ahead.
You only ask for worship is because we address that. Next time, come early. Move on. Next bills. Yes, go ahead.
I want to try and answer your question. Like, the answer came from the other side. To a very large extent, it's very correct what you said. But what I want to draw attention to is Matthew 6:21. The question here is your value system. It says, wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart will be. So it's about things you take more importantly in life. So if you feel the job is more important, then you always want to be at the job. You almost like giving up everything and putting your faith on the job, instead of trying to balance it with faith and reason. Let me see if I can work out a schedule that will work for me, that will still accommodate me, putting God first. But sometimes we try to go ahead of ourselves to help ourselves. In other words, we try to help God, which is not what it's supposed to be.
Amen.
Amen. Because of our time, because we need to cut short today. That is true, but another way to look at it, we're talking about someone having a second job. But what about a person that has only one job
Yes.
and closes by 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, and Fridays closes, say morning job. But comes back and say, look, I'm very tired, I can't attend Bible study. I'm very tired, I'm not able to attend night vigil. Some Sundays, it's late. Is that not the same thing with somebody that has 2 jobs and but not attend somebody's function? No. What's the difference between the two?
I think these things that we're discussing, the reality is that if we will continue to walk in the flesh and do things in the physical, it will always be difficult to make these hard spiritual decisions and to trust God. The reality is, if it is one job and you go for the interview and they tell you, say, these are the schedule and this is the job, and you already know that it will interfere with your activities for God, you have a decision to make there. So if you take that job, you have already decided, or even if you're on a job and they come up with a new schedule, I believe even at your job you can negotiate and tell your jobs, well, these are the things I'm involved in my church. But at the same time, no matter our condition and our situations, when it comes to the things of God, I believe you cannot compromise certain things.
But
For
God
me, that's what
provides you the job, but God provides you the job.
I mean, he that provides the job will make the way for him too.
Well, the difference, I believe, is this person has a job that pays him that pays him well, and with that, with the money that he got from that first job, from the one job, he can meet all his needs. But this person has a job that he couldn't meet his needs with. Then he looked for an alternative to, get his needs met. But if he uses the money he gets from the two jobs and pay his 10%, if he pays his 10%, I think he's putting God first.
No, John.
No, don't quickly say that. Don't dismiss it quickly. Don't quickly dismiss it. Our time is up. We're going to move this discussion. Yeah. Because it is very critical. Don't quickly say no. He has a point, though.
Yeah, I was going to explain.
Everything we are saying here, we know this is America. Bills come up. In some households, it's only one person that's working. Some households, you have two people working. Some households, you have only one person. Maybe the man is not married, the woman is not married, so it's the only person taking care of bills. And you need to pay bills. You need to, of course, you need to pay bills. But the time comes, or there are some situations where some people just deliberately, not that it cannot do without that Wednesday off, or that Sunday off, but he or she deliberately add more and more and more and more and more. Because, not that you really need all those, well, of course, everybody needs money. At that point, you are placing your job ahead of God. But if your job, you are taking a second job because you need to meet your basic needs, we need to survive. But if you are taking extra overtime and overtime, even when you know you're supposed to be in the house of God, you know that you are placing that finance and your job ahead of God. And that becomes an idol. If you come back, you have the time on Wednesday, you close 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, but you don't find the need to come to church for Bible study, you don't find the need to come to church for night vigil, what you just done is that you don't even understand what worshiping God means. And whatever you are doing is an idol to you. If your wife or your husband can prevent you, you have the time, when you come back from work early, and you are supposed to be a Bible study or go to night vigil, and he or she said, look, you know what, it's too rainy today, we are so tired, let's just sit and you obey. That means you rather obey man and not God. That man, that woman is an idol to you. If you are convenient, you're supposed to be in the house of God on a Sunday morning, but you find it difficult to wake up and be at the house of God by 9 o'clock. What you just do, you don't understand what worshiping God is. In fact, when you understand worshiping God, that's what the Bible says, I was glad when they say, let us go into the house of the Lord. When you come to a point of understanding what worship is, the first thing you will do, in fact, you will be so eager to wake up very early and rush to the house of God. Anything that has to do with God, you're going to be at the forefront because you understand who God is and what it means to worship God. So, some people might say, oh, you are talking now because you are doing your own business. My brothers and sisters, I never started in this country doing my own business. I've been in this country for 20 years now, going to 21 years. I've been there, I've seen it all. But there was only one thing. When you see me standing at the pulpit holding the microphone, you think that I started now? No, I started from day one I stepped into this country. My brother here brought some CDs of the other church we used to go, of 2006 or 7? And when we were slotting in, I was even watching myself. It didn't start now. This thing about God, it has to come from within, a determination against all odds to be able to serve God. It's not something that somebody will push you, somebody will talk to you, somebody will encourage you. If at this point you do not see the need to be so eager to be in the presence of God, then there's a problem. This problem that we talk about here, who will solve them? Only God. Only God. Believe me, only God will solve this problem. So let's get to that point. When we are doing Bible study like this, it's for us to check ourselves. It's not just for us to sit down and because it's a normal traditional thing we do on Sunday morning. I can take this only as the preaching for today. Let us look inward. As I'm talking, I look inward, you look inward. What do we need to take the name of God to the next level? How do I bring God, bring myself to the level of that Colossians is talking about, of my worshiping God in truth and in spirit? These are the questions that only you can answer. I can only answer for myself. I can't answer for you. God bless you.
Sister Rebecca, finished already.
No, time is up, please. We're going to move that to
1 second.
We'll move it to next week.
Just a quick question.
What's the question? What's the question?
I'll be very honest.
Please. Next week.